Good morning, Wabash. Speaking today at Pioneer Chapel will be Associate Dean Jon Jump with his talk titled, Be a Villager. Jon Jump has been the Associate Dean of the college and Registrar at Wabash since 2013. At Wabash, he serves on the Academic Policy Committee, Chair of the Curriculum Appeals Committee, Co-Chair of the Committee for Institutional Improvement, and as the college's Accreditation Liaison Officer and a peer reviewer for the Higher Learning Commission. He is a graduate of Denison University, holding an MA in Communication Studies and a PhD in Higher Education from Ohio University. A native of the Columbus, Ohio area, he will soon celebrate 30 years of marriage with his wife, Michelle. They have 2 children, Olivia and Abigail. Let's give a warm welcome to Dean Jump.
Good morning, Wabash. Tanner, thank you for that kind introduction, and thank you to the Sphinx Club for the tremendous honor of this invitation to speak today. This is the second time since I've been at Wabash that I've had the privilege of giving a chapel talk. For me, it's kind of like the Wabash equivalent of getting to host Saturday Night Live. If I'm lucky enough to get to the Five Timers Club, maybe I can get one of those velvet smoking jackets. It's been my honor to have been an Associate Dean of the college and your college registrar at Wabash since 2013. Even though my work is almost all about students, there are a lot of students I never get to meet. So some of you may be here today out of curiosity after seeing the announcement and thinking, who is he? I've been here a long time and never seen that guy before. And in that case, I say to you, congratulations, you're probably doing very well at Wabash. I work in the Dean's office suite in Center Hall. And if you've never been to my office, that means you probably so far have avoided the negative circumstances that precede many student visits with me, to talk about some kind of misstep that was made, or to find a way out from under some kind of academic problem. I like connecting with students who have a few hiccups on their way to a Wabash degree, and I do my best to be understanding when I meet them. Because I believe that every student who's admitted to this fine college has what it takes to leave here with a diploma. But also, because those students remind me of me and my own journey through college. More than 30 years ago, I stumbled my way to a degree from Denison University with an undistinguished record and a whole lot of big mistakes and missed opportunities along the way, academic and otherwise. But Denison didn't give up on me when it would have been easy for them to do. And I'm proud that as some form of repayment to them, I was able to help put my daughters, Olivia and Abby, through college there too. In the past year and a half, both have graduated with honors and a list of achievements that put some shine back on our name with our alma mater. I was on the football team for 2 seasons at Denison. After those 2 seasons, I'm confident that I have 4 years of eligibility remaining. To give you an idea of the arc of my football career in college, I showed up as a freshman in pretty decent shape physically and was cast as a quarterback in Denison's single-wing offense. But in my next season, following a year of, well, good living, they moved me to offensive guard. Not long ago, President Feller introduced me to our new athletic director, Mr. Jim Peoples, by saying that I was a former Denison football star. Mr. President, for all of your great achievements in leadership, I'm sorry to tell you that this was the worst misuse of the word star in the history of the English language. I could almost hear my coach, the late Hall of Famer Keith Piper, groaning from above, his familiar old lament from 1990 ringing in my ears after yet another missed assignment or bad block. I must have been bad as a boy, and now God's punishment is to send me Jump. I was not a great player. I matched my lack of athletic prowess by not being a great student either. I did a little better in some classes than others, but overall I lacked motivation and direction. It was a depressing time for me, even though on the surface I might have seemed to be doing okay. I had friends, I had things to do on the weekends, people liked me, but I can remember a lot of internal stress from those days. believing that I was never going to get my life figured out and that others around me all had it together a lot more than I did. That now I wasn't much of a football player, that I wasn't really good at anything. I wasn't progressing at the rate I expected, and I felt isolated and lonely, even among friends. It took me all my time in college to find something that I was excited about and enjoyed learning more about, and to connect with a professor in the way that we always tell students here that they should seek to do. I'll always be grateful to Dr. Mary Rose Williams in particular for showing the confidence in me that I hadn't found for myself, and for showing me ways to use my voice through writing that I never would have found on my own. But the truth is, I still struggle with thoughts of inadequacy sometimes. Some of them came bubbling up as I wrote this talk. What do I have to say that anyone would care about? Maybe those feelings never go away completely for anyone. And sometimes it's healthy to feel like you have more to do, more to offer, more that you need to prove to yourself and others. That motivation can be used productively and help you achieve great things. But those feelings can also be isolating and contribute to a sense of loneliness. Maybe it's gnawing questions about your own self-worth. When am I going to grow up and get past this? Why is everyone else better at this than me? Those are hard questions, sometimes without easy answers, and dwelling on them might make you feel alone and adrift. In worst cases, they can spiral and lead to unproductive behaviors. My own experiences as a younger man mirror what today's numbers show. It's ironic to say, but if you're a young adult who feels lonely, you're actually not alone. A Gallup poll with aggregated data from 2023 and 24 showed that 25% of men in the U.S. aged 18 to 34 reported feeling lonely a lot on the day before they took the survey. More than half, 57%, say they feel stressed daily. And for men, those rates might be even higher, because admitting that you are lonely shows more vulnerability than they often want to share, even on an anonymous survey. And for men, without interventions, this condition, like so many other things about our health, is unlikely to improve with age. Men of all ages are much more likely than women to say that they are not meaningfully part of any group or community, according to the American Institute for Boys and Men. Later in 2023, the U.S. Surgeon General released a report calling loneliness and isolation an epidemic in the United States. Now, I'm not a psychologist, and what I share with you today is the product of my own readings on these issues and my own observations and experiences. There's a whole department of good, smart people on this campus that are better equipped than me to talk about how brains work. But from my standpoint, and in conversations with men at Wabash, and which some studies support, one element of male loneliness comes from cultural expectations to follow a common social script. By this I mean that the idea of showing your feelings or emotions is feminine and soft. Only women are emotional and vulnerable. Men are stoic and suppress their feelings. The more you internalize those ideas over time, those responses become automatic. But I'll ask you to consider today, why do we accept a cultural pattern that says tough men can't feel things and feeling men can't be tough? One of the things that separates humans from other animals is a set of complex emotions. Why do half of us cut ourselves off from using the full array of them? I don't have good answers here. Would I have felt better if I opened up to teammates and friends about how I didn't think I was good enough in college? I doubt it. It probably would have been one more in a series of short, profane conversations where we harassed each other over shortcomings for comic effect. That was our standard interaction in those days, and I could give as good as I got in those exchanges. But there did come a point in college where I felt lost enough that I basically gave up in one area. I made an appointment with Coach Piper in his office, having decided to leave the football team, because I'd made up my mind that I just wasn't good enough. I thought that would already be obvious to anyone paying attention. I really had to prepare for that conversation, which I thought was going to be hard and a little humiliating. We met, and I got the words out, sharing what was on my mind. But my coach surprised me that day. In his own unique way, brimming with the wisdom that comes from 4 years in the Army Air Corps, followed by 40 years of coaching football to young men. And with his own gentle delivery, he changed my whole outlook with a few thoughtful, well-chosen words. And this is what he said. I've never forgotten it after all this time. It meant a lot to me. Maybe it will for you too. You piss me off quite a bit, Jump. You're not great and you're slow, but you've got some toughness and you're not afraid to step up and deliver a hit, and that's something. I can work with that. There are a few guys out there every day who should just not be allowed to go out for the football team. You are not one of those guys. And I think you're going to feel better about yourself if you stick around. You like being on this team, and you make us better. Not that much better, but a little. Believe it or not, that lukewarm affirmation was exactly what I needed to hear. He knew what I needed better than I did. He could have easily let me go. I wasn't the kind of talent that was likely to help him win any games. I was more of a liability than an asset. He didn't know just what was weighing me down or holding me back. Diagnosing people's hang-ups was not exactly his specialty. But he could tell that there was something there. He sized up the situation and decided that it was his job, maybe even his responsibility, was about more than just winning games. It was about helping young men at Denison grow up, even if that cost him something to help make that happen. It wasn't up to him to evaluate exactly what was wrong. He saw that his role was to use what he had available to help me as best he could. And he was right. I stayed on that team because of him. And I'd love to tell you this story ends with me making a big play that helped the team in a big game, but like many things in life, it's not quite that glorious. A couple of weeks later in practice, I did make a really good play, a solid block that knocked a guy down and made a second guy trip over him. It got the coach's attention for all the right reasons at first, maybe for a moment giving him some vindication for having faith in me when there was no apparent reason to. Until he noticed that I wasn't getting up. I had shredded the ligaments in my left knee. It was all over. The quitting decision had been made for me by higher forces, but instead of leaving defeated, I went out with some small measure of pride. Our time in an athletic team is usually short-term, even when injury doesn't shorten it for us. And the activity-based friendships we make when we participate in athletics or other activities like gaming take work to maintain after the activity is ended. While friendships forged in those arenas can be meaningful, they may not last beyond the duration of the activity. So sometimes, even when you think you're doing the right things and following good advice by getting involved in clubs, fraternities, study groups, without something significant to talk about when those activities are over, you can find yourself back in a lonely place. And when opportunities for consistent in-person contact are reduced, it's harder to develop the familiarity and shared experiences with others that are the foundation of close relationships. Young adult lives are brimming with the unexpected and yet burdened by what is expected of them. You try to stand on steady ground while uncertainties like careers or where you will live or whether you'll have a partner tug away at you. It's a quiet battle you all face and that many before you have faced. There's an assumption that once you reach a certain age of young adulthood, you should be independent. And it's true. At college age, you should be able to manage certain adult things on your own without the help of a parent or guardian or anyone else. But no one gets through life completely independently. They get through life with the help of others. And if the answers to all those life transitions you're figuring out aren't coming clear at the speed you'd hoped, the internal pressure amplifies. It can be hard to step back and consider that you don't have to be totally responsible on your own for everything to still be good. There's value to consistently maintaining a network of support in any network that feels like home to you. Knowing that others are there for you is really helpful for navigating this period of your lives. And asking for help genuinely increases the value and quality of human relationships. Recent research by social scientists Xuan Zhao and Nicholas Epley supports the premise that humans are a pro-social and pro-collaboration species. Their research shows that reaching out for support not only relieves some of the mental pressure from the asker, but it also makes the responder feel valued and good. It strengthens social bonds. Learning how to be real with one another solidifies the foundation of lasting friendships, especially for men who are less accustomed to having those kind of friends. Even just one person you can confide in can make a real difference. Time and distance have separated me from many of my friends in college, but I still have one close friend who I'm in consistent contact with from those days. Happy birthday, Mike. Mike Payne was my roommate in our freshman year, when dealing with lots of life transitions for the first time was as stressful as it had ever been for either of us. For me, Mike models many of the qualities that I value in a friend, and many of the qualities that I admire in how a man should conduct himself. He is innately kind, caring without being overbearing, someone you can talk to about anything, and who is also able to express his own needs appropriately, smart without being pretentious, and one of the toughest guys I know, physically and emotionally. These qualities have helped him become an accomplished poet, and not for nothing, but he was a damn good football player in his day, too. He trusts his own instincts, and after a longer career on-ramp than he might have liked, he's now a well-known and successful bike shop owner. I know this from experience. The friends you make in the toughest times, the real ones who stand up with you at times when it feels like everything around you is falling apart, those are the ones you keep. If you don't already have someone like that in your life, then find someone you like and respect, and when you get a chance to be that guy in their life, do it. Because people remember who was there for them when it felt like no one else was. As the poet and author Maya Angelou said, people will forget what you did, but people will never forget how you made them feel. And to bring this back to Mike and his bike shop, and because I know he likes my sense of humor, I'll borrow a metaphor from sports writer Rick Riley. Tough times are like bicycle shorts. They can cause intense pain and reveal a lot about a man. Keeping good friendships into adulthood can have health benefits, too. The 2023 Surgeon General's report I mentioned earlier reveals that loneliness and social isolation pose significant health risks as we age. Increasing risk of cardiovascular disease, dementia, stroke, depression, anxiety, and premature death. In extreme cases, it may be the strongest reliable predictor of suicidality and self-harm. College life has a lot of its own stresses, but trust me, there will be plenty more things you encounter later in life to wear you out and chip away at your tranquility. Worries about your work, your physical health, your loved one's health, mortgages, kids, tuition payments, all among them. Having a support network, or even one good support person, can help keep loneliness from playing an outsized role in your mental health and well-being. Even if you have good friends, as you get older, it's hard to keep those connections strong. Your life takes new directions. Maybe you have a family of your own, and they have to take priority for your time and attention. It takes real effort to sustain friendships. What else adds to a sense of loneliness and amplifies detachment from one another over time? Technology, especially social media, is a double-edged sword in this struggle. Its utility for connecting people over long distances quickly and efficiently can not only broaden your networks, but support your real-life, real-world relationships, keeping us in at least a low level of contact with people from our past who we don't want to forget. But the medium has also shaped interpersonal communication in some uniquely unproductive ways. Are we really better off with hundreds of contacts when the supporting relationship beneath them is so shallow? A brief note from an old friend can be a real pick-me-up from time to time. But overall, amassing so many superficial connections may do more harm than good, reminding us of how much we miss something more genuine. For those who struggle with loneliness, Watching a carefully curated highlight reel of an online friend's happy and fulfilling life can spur initial feelings of appreciative joy that may later turn to envy and low self-esteem. And for those who already grapple with mental health issues like depression or social anxiety, those conditions can be worsened if updates from online friends begin to function as internal indicators that they are not measuring up somehow. Life, or the lives of others that we see on our phones, is a bit like some forms of abstract art. It looks best from far away. All right, I've spent a lot of time identifying problems associated with loneliness. What do we do about it? How can you as a Wabash man work to keep yourself and your brothers from falling into a loneliness spiral? The first move against combating loneliness is the same on all fronts. We must be the ones to take our first step. And I'm not saying you have to dive in head first. One of the best things you can do is simply put yourself out there. If you consider yourself an introvert, start small. See someone wearing a concert t-shirt or a jersey from a band or team you like, use that as a catalyst for conversation. Sit down at a dining table with some people you don't know. I'm telling you, the fear of what you can't predict is a lot worse than whatever could happen at a shared table for a college meal. Just put the phone down for a few minutes and pay attention to your surroundings and the people around you. In-person connections may build your confidence the most, but if you're just not ready for that yet, use the phone to renew an old connection with someone you like and haven't seen in a while. Send them a message out of the blue. Or find a faculty or staff member you like and trust and stop by their office during office hours. If you can't think of anyone, come talk to me. My office door is almost always open, and I've accomplished quite a lot in my life by being someone's best available option at the time. If approaching people unexpectedly is a bigger step than you can take, there's another way technology can serve you too. There are online sites specifically designed to work against isolation and loneliness. Some of them launched during the pandemic when people were feeling especially isolated. Meetup.com is one example. I'm not a paid spokesman for this site, but it can be searched in any part of the country to find opportunities to meet people who share common interests. Now, let me be clear that I'm talking about common interests of a wholesome and healthy variety. Travel, fitness, hiking, cultural events, science, education, nothing weird. People in my own family have successfully used this to make connections and meet people. And I can say from my own experience that anyone at Wabash who has an opportunity to join us for one of several community dinners during the semester is going to come away better for it. I've been happy to help facilitate some good conversations around important issues with groups of students and colleagues I might never have had a chance to meet, including some shy ones that I know had to psych themselves up to be there. These dinners are by invitation, but are not exclusive. If you're interested, let me know. I'll invite you. Don't think I don't know how hard this can be for some of you. All of this is easier said than done. But the benefits of reaching out far outweigh the cost, no matter how high the cost may seem in the moment. We are better people when we live in community, but the price of community can be a little bit of inconvenience. In order to have a village, you have to be willing to be a villager. Thank you.
All right, just a few final announcements. Tomorrow's TGIF will feature a philanthropy event sponsored by Delta Tau Delta, along with an Oktoberfest celebration hosted by the Cooking Club, Brewing Society, and DJ Club. Later tomorrow night, the International Students Association is hosting ISA Fest outside of Seymour. On Saturday, the cross-country team is traveling to Louisville. The football team is facing John Carroll. The soccer team is heading to Wittenberg, and the rugby club is heading to IU. Thank you all for attending. Now will you all please rise and join me in singing Old Wabash. Ba-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da.